Um, there was actually there was an article for homework last time. I want to go through that quickly, and then we'll pick up the case study where we left off. So just one more article I want to get through. So before we get into this article, it's a discussion about brands and brand values. So just off the top of your head, what do you think the 10 most valuable brands in the world are right now? Starting from number
Apple.
Apple.
From number 10.
Oh, yeah.
NVIDIA.
Yeah. Actually, you know, now that I think about it, the thing I was looking at didn't have Tesla on it. I'm not sure why, but anyway, so Tesla's not on this.
MasterCard.
Yeah, you know MasterCard? They're
Mm-hmm.
credit card company.
Mm. Alibaba.
Right. So you guys have said Apple. Who else do you think is on the list?
Microsoft, Google,
Microsoft, Google,
The FAMG.
yeah, Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah. If MasterCard,
IBM. Yeah, Visa.
Visa's there, yeah. Definitely.
IBM.
Facebook, you've got.
Facebook.
Yeah. Do you think there's only one Chinese company on that list?
I think
Tencent. And the Chinese word is not correct.
Oh, that's right. Anyway,
Microsoft.
Google, Apple.
Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't list Tesla on this thing. Anyway, but roughly that's the other ones here right now. And this list is quite different from 10 years ago. So this article was written that we're going to look at was written post-financial crisis. So it's going to be talking about top brands, but there's going to be some differences because there's been quite a bit of change over the last 10 years. Let's just be aware. So maybe Kevin Wong, can you read the first paragraph? We'll just go Kevin Wong, Kevin Cho, Powen, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. For companies whose financial value depends heavily on the health of their brands, the severity and abruptness of the recession was a challenge. The abruptness with which many consumers stopped spending and large companies reduced capital investment caused a shock to the system. Many companies experienced not only the financial crisis, but also a crisis of confidence.
Good.
Marketers and advertising agencies preach the gospel that the companies that emerge best out of recessions are those that maintain their marketing budgets and protect brands when the going gets tough. In practice, few companies were certain enough of the future to comply, yet some of the doomsday scenarios about the value of brands in the post-recession world have not come to pass. Emerging from the recession, luxury goods companies and many other consumer brands companies are enjoying a rebound.
Good, thanks. So doomsday just means the end of the world. When people talk about a doomsday scenario, they mean a very serious downturn or problems. Powen, please, the next paragraph.
The underlying value of any brand, the premium commanded by products and services with strong reputation and identities, has not been eliminated by the crisis. Even those companies that did not invest heavily in their brands in the worst time are regaining some confidence. Brands outperform in good times, and when there is a recession, they do go down, but they come out the other side with a sustainable advantages, says Joanne Seddon, Chief Executive of MBO, the organization that compiles the ranking.
Thanks.
Compiles the rankings.
The nature of brands continues to evolve. Technology rather than marketing is now the defining characteristic of 7 of the top 10 brands, with Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Marlboro making up the other 3. Google remains the world's most valuable brand, but edging up close behind it are two other technology companies, IBM and Apple. Both of these outrank Microsoft, whose brand value was stable during the year. The resurgence in Apple under Steve Jobs through the iPod, the iPhone, and now the iPad continues on abated and on present trends. It could be pressing Google for the first place with a year or two. That is a tribute to a company that inspires devotion among customers.
And Kevin
It
Cho.
may also be a reflection of the value of inspirational leadership and the way in which consumers identify some of the world's most valuable brands, such as Oracle and Starbucks founders who embody their qualities. Larry Ellison of Oracle and Howard, how do I pronounce? Howard Schultz
Yeah.
of Starbucks are not only the founders, but the keepers of the flame. The social media boom led by companies such as Facebook and Twitter, as well as the rise in smartphones led by Apple,
Yes.
has had a broader impact on the top 100. It has boosted mobile operators such as Verizon and AT&T, despite the complaints of iPhone users about AT&T's 3G coverage.
Great, thank you. Okay. So if you read these statements, the beginning part gives you a definition and then comma, and then it's giving you the statement, but we want to correct them. And the correct statement is in this paragraph. So for example, if you say something is true and that people should act in accordance with it, people should follow it, you preach the Bible about it. That's not correct, but the correct statement is in this paragraph. So if you look, it says marketers and advertising agencies.
The gospel.
Yeah, preach the gospel. Yeah. So this is like, yeah, we will like never talk about religious stuff because I'm not interested in that particularly, and it's not a good topic. But it is this is a saying. So preach is a verb that's used usually for like a priest, when a priest is telling people like what they should do or whatever. We call that preaching, when priests are talking about religious things. And to preach the gospel is like a word that they use to describe what is said in the Bible. So if we use this in a context like this, preaching the gospel means telling people that they should do something in a certain way. Like in this case, they're saying like the gospel, the common understanding is that companies that maintain their marketing budgets survive a recession, right? And so it's well accepted that everybody believes this. And so when people preach the gospel, they're telling us to do this thing, basically. It is a common enough statement. Anyway, so number two, if conditions become difficult in a particular situation, the journey gets hard. That's not the correct way to say it. What is the correct way to say it?
It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
What gets tough?
The journey gets tough.
Not the journey.
The going gets tough.
The going gets tough.
Oh yeah, going gets tough.
Yeah, and again, this is like another kind of fixed expression. We say the going gets tough. A series of bad events that might happen is a fateful narrative. That's not correct. A series of bad events is something else. Both those words, both fateful and narrative, are wrong.
Doomsday scenarios.
Yeah, a doomsday scenario. A formal way of saying that something has happened is to say that has come past.
Come to pass.
Come to pass, yeah. If a company does well after a period of doing badly, it undergoes a bounce.
Undergoes a recession. Enjoys rebound.
Yeah, enjoys a rebound. Yeah, exactly. So you should know that term from basketball, for those of you who like basketball.
Yeah, we got rebound.
You bounce the ball on the ground, but a rebound is when it hits something, when somebody throws it and it bounces back. It's a rebound. Okay. Okay, true or false? The value of brands, maybe you probably don't need to reread it, but if you need a reference, there it is. The value of brands was completely destroyed during and after the recession.
False.
False, yeah.
Really?
What happened? Were the brands affected? Yeah, they were affected, right? Because if you have a rebound, then you had to, you had to go down. They were affected, but they did better. They were not totally destroyed. Companies that did not invest in their brands have been totally eliminated.
No.
No,
That's
false.
right. False, yeah. And I'm not sure if this part's that clear. So I think it's a dot. I've had a lot of spelling mistakes in this one. They said
Even those companies.
yes, that's right. Where is that? Even those companies that did not invest heavily are regaining some confidence. And yeah, and they also say here that few companies were certain enough of the future to comply. Few companies were certain enough of the future to keep investing in their marketing. The value of brands goes down during recessions.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it goes down. And then, whoop, you saw. Companies with valuable brands, that should say, do better than those without in the long run. So valuable brands are better than not valuable brands, obviously.
Hmm.
I feel like that's obvious. All right, good. Okay, so here are some, I think this is the last part of this one. Some expressions that are in this paragraph, in these paragraphs, that have the following meanings. The thing that people think about in relation to a brand. So when you think about Apple, you think about, I don't know, whatever it is. And what do we call that? You would think about car company like Lamborghini, we think fast. It's fast cars, expensive cars. That is that brand's, and it's two words. It's near the top, in the beginning. We call it a defining characteristic. So when you think of what you associate with a brand, is its defining characteristic. In this case, they're talking about a general sense. Technology is the defining characteristic of most of the top brands, rather than other things. A period of success following a period of decline. Things weren't going well, and now they are going well. And we call that
Resurgence.
resurgence. Good, yeah, which is a really good word. Resurgence makes you admire a person or a brand.
Inspirational leadership.
You're close. We're looking for the verb that's related to that. The verb for inspirational.
Inspire devotion.
Yeah, inspires is the thing that, yeah, if we say it.
Oh, okay.
You got it, they're right. And you kind of answered this one already. A feeling of complete admiration, respect.
Inspirational leadership.
No, it's devotion in this case. Yeah.
Oh.
Are any of you guys big Apple users?
Yeah, I'm using iPhone.
Right. Okay. So like I think compared to most mobile brands, Apple users are sort of the most devoted. You know what I mean? So like when Apple does something that consumers, like a lot of consumers maybe don't like remove their headphone jack or whatever, you get a lot of Apple users that think, oh, that's really great. You know, like no matter what Apple does, they think it's great. Company founders who are still building their companies.
Keepers of the flame.
Yeah, exactly. What does that make you think of when you hear keepers of the flame? You know, flame, like a fire, the person who keeps the flame, right? Does that bring to mind anything? You know, the Olympics, they keep the flame going, or but it's basically the idea that they're the person who keeps everything alive, keeps it lit. And the last one, what do we call companies such as Facebook and Twitter?
Social media.
Social media. Good. Do you use those companies? Facebook and Twitter?
Yeah.
I think Taiwanese use Facebook mostly.
More than Twitter.
Yeah,
Twitter, yeah.
we seldom use Twitter.
Sure. I've been seeing a lot of people that I know stop using Facebook in the last few years. I only use it because my mother and my family are on there, and you know it's a simple way to do it. And they don't use WeChat, and everything else is blocked here, so they use a VPN. Twitter, I don't really understand the appeal of Twitter. So. Yeah. Okay. So then, just as a general question, 5 to 10 years from now, so we looked at the most valuable brands. Again, here's another, pardon all my typos today. So here's the list on the left that should be the most valuable brands in 2011, Apple, Google, IBM. And on the right, it's the most valuable brands now. And you can see that there's been a number of changes. McDonald's is no longer in the top 10.
I think the year is incorrect.
It is definitely incorrect. It should be 2000. The left should be 2011, and the right should be 2021. So, yeah, let me fix that. Yeah, it should be 2011. I don't know why.
Invisible ink.
Yeah, it's called brand. I don't know what purpose that would be. Okay, well, you get the idea. This is 10 years apart. So, I mean, when you look at these two, what jumps out at you as the big changes?
The
Visa and MasterCard.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. do you know Marlboro? Do you know that company?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a smoking tobacco company.
Yeah, which are now totally gone from the list. Yeah. GE, consumer products. So like, yeah, what we see, like a lot of consumer brands are gone. You know, GE used to make a lot of consumer products. Like
What?
奇异公司.
Oh.
They also build our they consult on our nuclear plants.
Yeah, actually, there's a really interesting. I don't know if you know anything about the old CEO of GE. His name was Jack Welch.
Yeah, Jack Welch.
Have you heard of him? You know about him?
Yeah, he's a famous CEO.
Yeah, he's really. My wife recently was listening to his. He wrote a couple of books, his autobiographies. She was listening to the audiobooks of it. It's really quite an interesting guy, and he made this decision to move GE out of cheap, like not cheap, but out of consumer products, things like, stop making toasters, stop making ovens, and into these industrial projects mainly, and also financial. He basically financialized the company was the biggest thing. So the credit group and that sort of stuff. That's quite interesting. But they didn't make the top brands. And I think we saw the same thing with IBM, right? IBM used to sell a lot of personal computers, but then they completely sold their consumer division to Lenovo. Now they're sort of gone from the list. So it's quite interesting. And now, yeah, let's see. So what do you do? So we're looking at the right-hand side, 2021. Anybody you think will be gone from there, like 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, that you're sure it's not going to be in the top 10? Or you think maybe won't be in the top 10?
If I have to pick Visa or MasterCard.
Right.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, they could maybe merge to one giant.
Sure.
I
But then
think
there's-
there's some new technology companies, and they're selling it's called buy first, pay later.
Right.
It's a different concept to the traditional like Visa card, MasterCard,
Right.
and yeah, and their stock price getting higher and higher. So maybe in the future they will replace these two companies.
Okay. Yeah, it could be. I mean, who knows? I don't really know. The only thing that would make me question that is that like the problem with finance stuff, like these kind of payment gateways, payment methods, is it's very difficult to deal with the government and politics. I met the guy who founded Western Union, not Western Union, sorry. What's the Union Pay? I don't know if you know Union Pay, right? So I met the founder of that company, and he told me the whole story about like how they got government approval and tried to expand abroad. It's quite sounds quite frustrating, actually, quite difficult, So that's the only thing that would make me kind of worry about those kind of companies, because like PayPal is still really the only platform that you can use in a lot of places, and PayPal's like terrible. I don't think anybody likes it. But, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. Okay. And NVIDIA. Why do you think NVIDIA is on that list?
It's because of the rising of AI, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, the GPU need the computing power needs NVIDIA.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough. I know people complain a lot about shortages and.
Yeah, shortages of GPU, right?
Yeah.
And for recent year, the miners are willing to buy at a very high premium.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's finish the case study. So, Poe, you missed the beginning of this case study. So we're going to quickly just review the background and then kind of get into it. So Kevin's, Kevin Wong, what do you remember about this company we looked at, HCC? And maybe just a general overview to fill Poe in.
They plan to launch a new perfume, eau de cologne, yeah, for men, and they are discussing because it's a very competitive market, so they try to relocate their market section. So there were two employees discussing what to do would be the best solution for this new product.
Okay. Right. So a premium or a high-end men's fragrance they want to launch in 10 other countries outside of France where they are now. And then we listened to a discussion where they talked a little bit about some of the market research information they received. Kevin, so what do you remember about some of the problems that they're facing, the issues that they're looking at?
Yeah, I think the market is getting competitive. More and more companies are trying to enter this perfume market, and it's they are trying to find a new their new customers. They're trying to find some younger customers instead of the traditional, middle age and career-minded male.
Right. Right. And yeah, they were considering, should they then become a mass market priced product? So a lower price product that would sell to many people, or continue in this sort of high market range. Ultimately. Okay. And then we just looked at some of the product details. It's expensive. It's sold in high-end shops. They do promotion mainly in prestigious things, expensive magazines, places like the racing track and duty-free shops. And then their sales literature quote for people who are confident and ambitious urban life. Okay. All right. So that's the general background. So the task, what you guys are to do for this, based on your understanding of this, and it's is we've heard the results of the research, and they want to launch overseas. So as a member of the marketing department, you need to discuss some of these questions and come up with your suggestions, what you think they should do. Right. So there's 10 things here. I don't think you don't necessarily have to go through all of them, but like certainly ones where you think you guys might have some input. So this is a brainstorming meeting. We want you guys to brainstorm your ideas about what they should do. So maybe Kevin Wong, you joined the brainstorm last week with the other class, so maybe you can kind of take over. I don't think brainstorms necessarily need a leadership, but you can direct the conversation a little bit to keep things moving forward, please.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think? So from what you know about the global economy, if you were this kind of perfume company, we can start with number one. What 10 countries would you be looking at?
Yeah. So, do you guys have any suggestion?
I think I'm not sure, but I think Western countries are better because, as I know, in Chinese or in Taiwan, I don't know whether if it's in Chinese is the same or not. Males use less perfume than Western world.
Yeah.
And at least myself, I don't use.
I think the America should be the first because it's the biggest consumer market in Western countries.
Okay, so we could pick USA, maybe Europe.
Yeah, you can find the other 9 countries in Europe.
Okay, so do you guys think that Physique need a new name?
What was the issue with the name? Do you remember?
I don't even know what
there was some concern. The name doesn't mean anything, but there was some concern that the name sounds too French. And that
sounds just what?
So people
French.
Yeah.
French.
There was some concern that the consumers associating the product with France would not be a good thing.
Oh.
But that depends on the markets a little bit.
American people don't like France. I don't know.
But I think French perfume sounds better than American perfume.
Yeah,
you
yeah, me
know,
too. Me
yeah,
too.
so I don't think it needs a new name.
Oh, okay. We could keep it.
But I think this
It,
this name is not good because I
Yeah.
associated it with physics, but
Oh,
I don't know what name is good.
Physique, it sounds like an English word that means,
Physique.
well, if you talk about a person's physique, you're talking about the shape of their body.
Oh.
It's connected with physical in some ways,
Mhm.
other than physics. Yeah. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's the.
Maybe next question.
okay. Maybe let's discuss. Should we continue to position as a premium fragrance, or should we target to the mass majority?
Oh, you just skipped the third question, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do we have to follow every?
No, you don't have to follow.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Like a mass.
Because 3 and 4 are probably related anyway. If you change 4, then you definitely are changing 3. So
In this case, the company originally targeted at the top premium fragrance, but they think it's too competitive for them to kind of survive. So, do you guys have any suggestion?
yeah, I think they should try some, they can have a different product line and to target not lower customer, how do I say, some younger customer, and they still keep their original one. So maybe after the younger customer getting rich, they'll buy the original one.
Yeah.
Oh, so provide two version of it, like the younger one, the cheaper one.
you mean something like create a brand loyalty with an entry-level product?
Yeah.
Customers can, as they graduate in financial levels, they can buy more expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Create some poorer fragrance.
Okay, then.
That's a good idea.
Container.
Let's discuss. Oh, wait. Let's discuss the container. The physique must be changed. How should a new container look? But what's the original look?
The round one, right? I just saw it on last slide.
Yeah, the original one was the description was a tall, rounded bottle with a solid appearance, black with the brand name in the center and a silver top.
Oh. So maybe we could make it more sporty, or I don't know.
Maybe they cut the cost of the container will, lower the price of the perfume, and I just saying, cut the cost.
So you suggested we could use a cheaper container.
Materials, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe use some, maybe some, how do I say, recycle materials, get everything about the green power, green product, and people will buy it.
Okay. So
based on cost.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can actually like draw a perfume bottle right now. So yeah, cost-based approach is pretty reasonable. And
Uh,
6, you've kind of answered, I think. But go ahead.
Let's discuss the distribution. Should the fragrance continue to be sold in exclusive outlets, or should it be sold in a wider variety of outlets? Yeah, we discussed we are targeting the market in US and Europe. I'm not sure. Yeah, do you guys have any idea?
Since we discussed to lower the customer, so I think we should open to the outlets so that more consumer can see our product.
Yeah, me too. So
How do you think consumers in general, like, how do they associate availability with products? And like, if you think maybe alcohol is maybe a good analogy, is kind of a close relationship in some ways to the perfume market, where like, you know, there's some like really, really expensive alcohols that you just never see other than in like really, really expensive places. But then like something that there's some like I don't know about now, but a few years ago, like there was a whiskey called Crown Royal whiskey that kind of has a nice image, but they were actually really widely available. So they weren't really exclusive, but they kind of maintained a higher image amongst the mass market.
Mhm.
Or, you know, like Apple is not widely available. Apple's only available at, you know, the Apple Store. Like, what's the, you know, by choosing where you sell, what effect might that have on people's perception of the product?
I think they need to use some advertising, for example, to create an image about the physique. It's very high quality product, but it's also available for and also affordable for mass customer.
Okay, so you think it should be widely available?
Yeah.
And then the ads can make the image. That's certainly an approach. And the brand ambassador.
yeah, who should be the ambassador for the brand?
James Bond.
Which James Bond you're referring to?
Daniel Craig.
Oh, Daniel Craig. Huh.
Yeah, the latest one.
And we need a new slogan.
But
Yeah.
I think we it's better we choose a younger male.
Oh wait, we need to choose a younger male French because it's a French brand. We are not choosing the English the British.
Right.
Okay.
Not necessarily French.
But I don't know any French younger stars.
Do you know any French stars?
No, not really.
We can choose some Korean K-pop star.
K-pop.
Yeah, K-pop is a thing. K-pop is a thing right now, right? I mean, all over the world.
Is
Younger
K-pop
people like K-pop.
Yeah.
in EU and USA? Is there so famous in there in Western countries?
BTS.
Oh yeah.
I have no idea.
I think Western in the US and Europe, there are many young people like K-pop.
Maybe we can choose different ambassador, like for American ambassador, European ambassador, and
Yes.
Asia ambassador.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, I think BTS is a good choice.
You really love BTS.
No, I don't know them.
I'll put a question.
Okay.
It seems a little bit.
Question mark.
Do we need a new slogan? I remember the slogan was
Slogan
ambitious.
was, no, the
Physique.
slogan was the shorter one. The slogan was physique
Oh.
for the urban.
Physics for
Physique for
the
the
urban
urban
man.
man was the slogan.
Physique for younger men.
Yeah, could be, I guess. Keep it simple.
I don't know, maybe something like fresh, or make people sound refreshing, sound younger.
Agree with that. Need a new one. Slogan writing is actually quite difficult. So I'm not, if you don't have any ideas, that's pretty reasonable.
Okay.
And then number 10.
Last one, is it now time to manufacture the fragrance in low-cost countries?
Yes.
Where?
Where does Physique originally manufacturing?
In
In
France.
Oh, so that's why. Maybe they should. They should. That's why they're expensive. Maybe they should learn from Apple. Apple always say, how do I say, design in California and manufacturing in China or maybe in Vietnam. So we should say design in France, but manufacturing in a cheaper country.
Where do you think might be appropriate for that?
Vietnam. They could,
Southeast Asia.
yeah, they could speak French.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, and their labor power is very cheap.
Okay. You don't think Vietnam, I don't know, do you have any associations with something made in Vietnam? Does that make you think better about a product, worse, or it doesn't change your opinion?
I think we have to like lower the emphasis of the manufacturing company.
Right.
We don't have to say it out loud that we make our perfume in Vietnam or Indonesia.
Right.
Because if a perfume is made in French or in compared to made in Vietnam, we definitely want it made in French, right?
Right. Maybe you could get away with mass producing the formula. So I mean, I don't actually know how perfume is made, but I assume it's a bunch of liquids they mix together, mass produce the liquids in Vietnam or wherever, and then ship the raw liquids to the US or France, and then you bottle it.
Yeah. That may be a good idea.
Then you could say bottled in France, or wherever it is. Save you some cost, but not necessarily all of those. Okay. All right, fair enough. I think that's pretty good ideas. I really like the idea, Kevin, so your idea at 3 and 4, like creating an entry-level product for people to sort of move up with, is I think is a really strong approach for companies if they can do that. For sure. All right. Okay, well, we're pretty much out of time. I don't know how to get, and I don't know how to get rid of this text, so. It's there. There's, yeah, like it won't go. I don't think I have it here. It won't let me. Okay, if you have time to do some writing, there would be a writing assignment based on this. So just sort of like the action minutes of the brainstorming session, like a summary of the things that you guys just discussed would be the writing project if you have time to do that.
Okay.
But if not, I understand. And yeah, thanks very much for your time today. Wrap it up.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
And I'll see you guys
Thank
next week.
you.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Have a nice
Bye.
weekend.
Yeah, you too. Good luck in the markets.